4 more questions, right?
Yes.
No. That wasn't for you. Did that count as a question?
Yes.
Damn it. Only answer when I talk to you, okay?
Yes.
Welcome to Crispy Critics. Today we are talking about Dungeons & Dragons: Honor Among Thieves. And we just got done watching it last night. And when I went into this movie, I went into it with really high expectations. And even with that, it was still better than I could have imagined.
Yeah, I honestly didn't know what I was thinking when you brought up the idea that you wanted to go to the theater and watch it, because honestly the last few years of going to the movies, everything was kind of just generic, and I don't know, there's nothing special about it. Like I was never hyped, like the last 2-3 years,
Right.
Not hyped at all for any movie that was coming out, really. And with this one, I just thought it was going to be kind of one of those generic kind
of fantasy film.
Fantasy, but just I was hoping it wasn't going to be like those mass-produced superhero movies.
Right, yeah, and it could have went that way.
It could have, yeah.
Yeah, when I first heard about it, I thought, okay, Dungeons and Dragons movie, probably not that great, but I'm waiting for like a kind of an epic medieval castle movie.
Yeah.
And hopefully it's not like drained of color like the Fantastic Beasts movies.
Yeah, no, I was worried about that with filters. I thought, they're gonna do the gloomy gray skies and the
the gray skies. And then so then when they released I think it was a screenshot or a teaser trailer, it was really vibrant, really colorful, and then I was like really hyped, and it just the more trailers and more footage they put out, it was like, okay, this is like a comedy, what I was hoping. And it's got a great cast. You have Chris Pine, Michelle Rodriguez, Sophia Lillis, Justice Smith, Regé-Jean Page, which I'm not too familiar with him. That's actually the first thing I've ever seen with him in it.
He looked familiar. I've probably seen him in something, but
yeah, I can't remember. There's like a show that he's in. Or something.
At least his first big role that I know of.
Yeah, Chris Pine. Actually, I didn't like him at first.
Yeah,
and then I think we went and seen Star Trek back in 2009, and he was okay. He was kind of funny. I think he played Captain Kirk or something.
Yeah, I actually love that movie, and he played that part pretty well.
Yeah,
but
he didn't really do much after that. Like there's like little kind of filler movies he was doing. But when I seen that he was in this movie, I thought, okay, Chris Pine. I do remember him being enjoyable in Star Trek, so he probably fits the bill of like being the leading funny guy in a fantasy type movie.
Yeah, even the way the movie started out, I was kind of worried it was gonna just be a really cheap movie with that kind of generic mass produced superhero humor. You know what I mean? Like that first scene, or one of the first scenes where he was in the prison or whatever. What was he doing?
What was it? When he was getting the pardon? The pardon.
Scene? Yeah. I was just he did not seem like he fit in the role at all. He seemed kind of like Chris Pratt in Guardians of the Galaxy. I know a lot of people like that franchise, but
I feel the same way.
The first one, I definitely love that movie. It was pretty good, but it's just his character seemed almost like a car salesman or something, just odd, placed in the wrong time. But as the movie went on, it just kind of eased in, and the comical bits just seemed really fitting and perfect and natural.
Yeah, actually, so I got tickets for all you guys, and I was really hyped up to go see this movie, and I was just hoping that it was going to be good enough that you guys would like it, and I would like it at the same time. So like we're watching it, and that first couple minutes, I was like, is this actually going to be the good movie that I was hoping it was going to be? And like you said, it slowly starts like just building up to like a better movie, and you keep thinking like, is this really a good movie, or is it just kind of seeming like it's going to be a good movie? And I mean, by the end of it, it was, the entire theater was like howling like with laughter. Like I don't know, it was really good. And some of the most surprising things for me were there were scenes for the trailers where they show where they're waking up the corpses. And I've seen that trailer, and I thought, I don't know about that. It looks like it's funny, but it also looks like, is this actually going to be a good movie, or is it just going to be one set after another? And are they going to linger in the same areas, for a long time? Are we going to get stuck in like one area for a long time?
Yeah, no.
But they didn't do that. They moved really quickly, and there are so many different set pieces that it never feels dull. It never feels like a filler.
No.
It doesn't feel like they're padding the runtime.
Yeah, they had a lot of unique scenes and sets. It was it didn't seem like it didn't seem like they were just trying to do bits to get your laugh, to get your, it didn't seem like it was I don't know how you
fabricated.
say it. It didn't seem fabricated at all.
Mm-hmm.
At the beginning, like I was saying, with the acting was just a little off. And I was like, I don't know about this. It's out of place. But
yeah,
it just,
I felt the same way.
got better and better. And I don't know, every scene was, like I was saying, unique. Everything was colorful and crispy and vivid. Not overly like fruity. Like some movies, they can be kind of fever dreamish. To where
it was. I would say it was perfect.
It was, perfect. It wasn't overly colorful and it wasn't dull at all.
Mm-hmm.
There was no like grimy, other than the parts where they're like, in the catacombs or that's supposed to have that setting. But there was nothing that I was like, oh, this looks kind of sick and just.
Yeah, so I do kind of want to get into like the biggest part of the movie that really made it a good movie wasn't just these huge sets and the epicness of it, but it really was the actors. Like the actors really made it good, and I was kind of afraid because I've only seen Justice Smith in what was it, Detective Pikachu, and I liked it. It was good enough, but that's all I really knew him from. I think he was in the really horrible Jurassic World movies, which were just so bad. Anybody that were involved in those, you really don't even see them in those movies, just because those movies were just really bad.
Yeah, they were.
And so I was kind of like, okay, I had my actors that I was confident they would be good, like Chris Pine for sure. I was like, okay, he's good for the leading role.
I honestly wasn't sure about him when we saw the cardboard cutout. I was like, I don't know this dude.
Yeah, I know you guys were saying that, and I was like, oh, really? Like, I mean, I'm on board.
Yeah, I was definitely clubbing him up a little bit.
Definitely clubbing him. But and then Michelle Rodriguez, all I really know her from is the Fast and Furious movies.
I was gonna say that ever since Fast and Furious, I was like, why is she not put in more movies?
Right,
she's just so
weird.
Iconic and like great actress. And this was like one of those roles. It was like, she might have been, typecasted as the tough girl, which she kind of has been kind of since Fast and Furious, but it was necessary.
And she did it. She did it really well.
Thanks. Another thing was like Sophia Lillis, like. I didn't know much about her going into this, but I knew that she was kind of trending and kind of in the spotlight recently, at least for the last couple of years. Mm-hmm. And I was kind of worried, like, oh, are they just trying to do this, bringing certain trendy actors or actresses in just to kind of fill the part and get people in to be like, oh, that's my favorite actress or actor.
Yep.
And honestly thought she could have had more screen time, but at the same time, her character wasn't like, she didn't bring a lot to the table, and I'm sure it was kind of written that way. And it was kind of weird though, because a lot of the time she was just in the back. I don't know if you noticed. I was like, how come she's just there for like whatever reason? And it still got me thinking, like, is she just there to grab more views, get more people involved or whatever? But I don't think that was the case. I think it was just written perfectly to where she had her parts, and she's not this like intense character. It's kind of just kind of in the back, and that's her character. She didn't like the human. She doesn't. She's kind of shy and away from anybody else, so it kind of fit like her.
And towards the end though, she did they started to utilize her a little more with like her powers.
Yeah, I noticed that, and it just kind of seemed fitting. It didn't, it wasn't what I thought it was going to be going into, which is it was pretty nice.
Yeah, and then we have Regé-Jean Page. Again, we've talked about him for a second, and didn't know much about him going into it, but he was okay. I think when you see the trailers, you go, okay, I don't know this guy, but I kind of know what his character is going to be, and his character is just that. Like, he kind of comes in, he pops in,
doesn't evolve. Like, he's not.
He just kind of plays the more serious, if you can even say that. And so when he does crack a joke, or when he does kind of break out of that, it's like, oh, okay, he's being funny, because he's the serious guy, and the serious guy, it's funny when they're. I mean, that's how I felt with that guy.
No, yeah.
I can't remember what his name was in the movie.
Yeah, no, Simon.
No. Simon was Justice Smith. So Justice Smith, Regé-Jean Page is the guy that I can't think of what the heck he was. Was he like a wizard or a knight or?
Are you talking about the dude with the armor? Then he's like spares.
Just kind of comes and saves the day.
I don't know why I was getting confused with that, but no, he's just kind of the analytical. He doesn't have really much emotions, and that was because what happened to him like when he was a kid in the movie.
Right. Oh, and so that's another thing I want to talk about. So anytime we go watch these movies, especially with these like fantasy films, one place they always go and it's never good is with flashbacks. And in this movie, the flashbacks are actually interesting and they actually benefit the story. Like and sometimes they're a little spooky and they're a little more serious. Like, because the movie is not serious. The movie is a comedy. Like that. Like that was a pure comedy.
It was well balanced, though. It wasn't overly like ridiculous at all.
No, well, it's like, not Austin Powers for sure.
It's like fine tuned, and it's not like it's like a science where they got like this big machine making this movie. It didn't feel that.
It's funny that you say that because I was thinking like when we were done watching the movie, I was like the only thing, if I was going to say anything negative about this movie, is that if you can even say this, it was too good. I was like, it almost seemed too good, but then I was like, it wasn't though. It wasn't like a machine made this movie. It wasn't like just made and created. It had the same feeling. It just really was good. The actors were amazing. It was very human. It was a very human movie.
Yeah.
And there's surprises too. Like there's things where you are legitimately like, you're laughing not just because it's funny, but because you're like surprised. And like I don't want to give away too much, spoiler warning, whatever, if you could even call it that. But the scene when he's dancing and he's at the front gates and he's like, he's doing a little dance and you're like, they're doing the little distraction thing. And then all of a sudden it's an illusion of Chris Pine and he's like morphing.
Yeah, his eyes are all popping out.
And it was spooky.
Yeah,
definitely spooky.
I didn't know what I was watching for a second. It was like, I was just unexpected all the way.
I almost felt like it was glitching out, like literally like a projector because it started going like, and I was like, are we having like technical difficulties? And then he started morphing and I'm like, okay. It is the movie.
Morphing. I thought he was just kind of waiting, for the people to break in. I thought he was like repeating the part over and over. I didn't think anything of it, and then his eyes started drooping, and it was like, I've never done LSD or anything like
right,
that.
It was like weird.
It was kind of like gut wrenching in a way.
It was like, definitely.
I didn't know what I was watching for a second. It was just happening before my eyes.
I was dealing with the same thing. Yeah, when it sets in and you realize what's happening, the whole crowd too. The whole crowd was like dying.
Yeah, they're dying.
It was just such a good movie. But I want to talk about some other scenes that we really enjoyed. My favorite scene would have to be the waking of the corpses. That's what I think. I'm sure they do like a test audience for most of these movies. Yeah,
and I know that was a big part for them because. At the end of the credits, it, obviously spoiler alert. We'll just
it don't matter. I don't even care. Yeah,
like they after the beginning credits roll, like the pre-credit credits, whatever you want to call them, they come back with a scene of one of the dead still talking, like what was he saying, like I can't remember what he's saying, but it was.
Could somebody ask me a fifth question?
Yeah, and it was there because that when they did this test audience. Before they released the movie, that was probably everybody's favorite part, or the majority. And that was definitely my favorite part too. I wanted it to keep going.
I know that. That's what I was thinking.
It's one of those things.
No, again, I was thinking the same thing. We're watching it, and it does keep going. They do the one corpse, and then they do another corpse, and they do another corpse,
and then they do kind of rapidly.
And and you go, wow, they're really pushing this along, but it's so good. I don't want it to end.
Yeah, and it did end a little too quick.
But even though it went on longer than I thought it would, because in the trailer they show the one corpse, and I thought, okay, they mess up the corpse thing, and they flub it, the one spell, but then they keep doing it, and you're like, okay, there's more.
Yeah.
And by the time you realize that they're doing more, it ends, and you're like, I want more. And I mean, but they do have a lot. There's like a lot of different corpses and their practical effects, which is really cool.
And
they're
the scenes on how they died, and that was amazing.
Oh yeah, God, so great. I know the deaths of the corpses, and you get to see their little backstory. Like the amount of effort that went into this movie was actually, I had to keep stopping myself from thinking about that. like what was it like on set? What were they doing? And I was like, no, dude, you gotta just not think these things.
Especially
you gotta
with like the animatronics and the practical effects that they used. You don't want to take yourself out of that and be like, what was it?
Yeah,
the makeup artist or who?
Especially when you're really enjoying it and you don't.
And
luckily,
even wanna, I got out of that.
I did too. There was a scene, I can't remember what was happening, but they were like running through the forest, and I started to get into that mindset of like, what was it like doing this, and were they having a good time? And I'm like, I mean, clearly they were having a good time. These people were like, the chemistry is off the charts.
Definitely having a blast.
I don't think. I mean, so with the runtime, it was like 2 hours long, and I think it was perfect. I really do. I don't think it was too long. I don't think it was too short, but it definitely stuck with me when I was done. When we were done watching the movie, I kept thinking about the characters. I kept thinking about what I wanted more than anything is just another one. You want a sequel.
That's what I was thinking too, and then usually I don't think that with movies because I don't want it just to turn into some assembly line of number 5.
Yeah, I know.
But at the same time, I was like, they got it. Just,
assemble them, get them going.
Get them going.
Yeah.
I don't know. I wish there was like another 30 minutes. It didn't feel short. It really didn't because it was like 2 hours 11 minutes or something.
Yeah.
But I felt like it. I wanted at least like 30 minutes more just because it was so good.
I mean, I guarantee they're doing a sequel. Like they're probably working on it right now. It's a huge hit. But I just hope that if they do a sequel and they do 10 more, because it's Dungeons and Dragons and they can just do original stories, which is basically what they did with this. It's not they use references and stuff, and again, we don't know Dungeons and Dragons at all.
Never played
which I guess we should have said that first, but no, we really have no idea. So we went into this completely blind, and you can tell there's references. They mention just like Baldur's Gate and like weird
and little creatures, and I had no idea.
no idea.
Was,
but the story is just original to the writers. They wrote this, and so they can do 20 Dungeons and Dragons movies, and I would watch every single one of them as long as they stay good. And as long as the actors keep coming back, like you got to have Chris Pine, you got to have Michelle Rodriguez.
Too is usually when they do a sequel or they keep going, they add a new cast or they bring new people in. I'm sure they'll do that if they do another one, but I don't want it to get too mucked up with new people because I feel like their cast is perfect.
Yeah,
and I feel like their characters, like Sophia Lillis, she could actually bring more to the table on the next one. Maybe have a bigger backstory for her because she really didn't. She was kind of like left out in the, you just didn't know much about her. She just kind of away from everything. But I feel like
more. There's certain
Simon and Sophia Lillis in the next one, and it doesn't have to have that. It could be the same kind of whatever you want to say, like shared time. Like she gets her 20 minutes out of the movie. It could be the same as long as it's that cast. I don't mind if there's a few more people added, but I feel like it was too perfect, and I don't.
That's one of the things with a sequel. You wonder like how could they go wrong? Well, they could bring in somebody that isn't as good, and then we got to deal with them, and they're taken away from Chris Pine or Sophia Lillis or any one of them, and you really don't want that.
But and if they do, I think they can kind of like a cameo, like what was his name?
Oh, dude, that was spoiler warning. That was one of the best things. That was so funny.
Yeah, the dude from Hangover. What's his name?
Bradley Cooper.
Yeah, Bradley Cooper.
That was so good. The tiny guy.
Dude, I didn't know like when it showed him at the door.
No, me neither. It took me a second.
Like we're fairly close to the screen, and my eyes are pretty crap, but like I didn't know it was him. So like you got Rodriguez at the door, and she's like what? 4 feet taller than him or something.
Yeah,
I was like, oh, this is it's hilarious. This little mini dude that she used to date, and then keep showing scenes of them, and I still can't see this dude's face. And then when he takes a seat on the chair, it's Bradley Cooper, and it just looks so ridiculous. But it was. I think perfect.
I really like, feel. Man, I feel like every. Oh yeah, no, I know. I thought he was going to come back, and the fact that he didn't was so sad. Like I mean, I
feel like he will if they do another one. He'll probably have a bigger part.
I know, yeah, because that. I mean, if the audience was any indication, I think everybody was on the same page as you though. When he's at the door, you just don't know it's him, and you're like, okay, this is her ex-lover or whatever, and then I really feel like everybody blew up in laughter when they realized, not only is he a tiny guy and it's funny, but it's Bradley Cooper and he's a tiny guy and it's funny. That was a
great.
super high. There were so many scenes to even say what your favorite scene is. I think just going with the waking of the corpses, that was like when you really knew how good this movie
when you were
was.
mentioning that your favorite scene, I knew my favorite scene was gonna be that scene. I thought you would have said something else, but at the same time, that was just the more memorable scene that stuck out the most.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of some other, because there's so much. The movie has so much to it.
They kind of go into other scenes quickly, so it's not like most of the filming in the movie. It's not like one scene for a long time. That was the only kind of extended scene, at least in my opinion, that I can remember. That was like, all right, it's got its what was it, like 10 minutes or something of the scene. Mm-hmm. It definitely ran longer than any other scenes besides like the dungeon fight with the dragon.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. So there's so much with let's talk about the special effects, which were amazing. Like you have the practical, you have the CG. I loved the big dragon. Like in the trailer, there's a dragon, and it's going to look cool, but you don't know that it's going to have a weight problem and it's going to be tumbling around like a fat cat. Freaking hilarious. When you realize what the joke is, and they make it clear real quick, because the dragon comes in, and you're like, okay, it's a big dragon, and then Chris Pine is like, oh, what happened to the last guys? Did he eat them? And you're like, oh, that's clearly this dragon's gonna be a little bigger than the normal dragon.
Yeah, I was not expecting that, especially when it showed its face coming out of the cave. Yeah. And then all of a sudden it's just giant cow with little arms and tiny wings.
Yeah, so that was freaking hilarious. Or trying to jump up and get him.
Yeah.
But then there were some really cool looking scenes. Like one of my favorite scenes was towards the end, and there's that weird block of jelly, and when they all jump into it, and it just shows them, and they're like in that kind of like just still. And it was intense too, because you've seen how quickly somebody dissolves in this block of like acid jelly. So when they all jump in there, and you're waiting for Sophia Lillis to do whatever it is that she's planning on doing, because she gets them to jump in there. Even though I wasn't thinking anybody's gonna die in this movie, like I had no real fear of anybody dying. I still had that like intensity, like get them out, like they're in the acid jelly, like hurry up, snake
I
lady.
Figured they would have got out, but at the same time, I was a good shot.
I think I was just there for it. You know what I mean? Like I was just like I knew I was supposed to feel the intensity, and I just did. I was with it, and I don't know. I thought it looked really cool.
Yeah, especially that one part when they realized that blob square thing, dissolved people. It showed that corpse in there.
Yeah.
And he's all just like looked like a dead fish in the water.
Yeah.
Like just a skeletal remains.
Get out of the way!
It's burning! Another minute, I would have lost my hand.
I was like, man, it looked great.
There was some spooky imagery in this movie that I didn't expect.
Yeah.
There's a scene at the end when the lady releases this red cloud.
Sophina.
Yeah, Sophina releases, and those people are like spitting up this, like they're dying, and it was creepy.
No, it was.
I think it was next level. I want to say that was next level.
Definitely
cinema.
Next level. It reminded me of something like, I don't know,
something you would see in the 80s or something, right?
Exactly what I was going to say.
But it hasn't been done before. Yeah, it hasn't been done before.
And it was eerie as hell. Like it
really eerie.
Gutted me.
Yep, gutted me too.
But like it was, you loved it, because it was so good.
I know.
And it was just like, man. But another thing about like the practical effects and stuff, I feel like they didn't even need like the majority of the CGI that they had in there. Mm-hmm. I feel like a lot of it was unnecessary. Like, and it didn't stick out towards like, oh, this is just kind of, it looks bad or anything. But there'd be like a scene where they were running through that forest with like the red moss on the trees, and it showed like a big red spider on the tree crawling. I'm like, it was like they added that after. They didn't even need that. They could have just had like a real, little toy on the tree with like there's like things in there that their practical effects were so good. They didn't need
I felt
the amount that they had. Obviously, they need some.
You needed it for the dragon. You needed it for the giant dragon.
Yeah, or like the chest with the tongue out.
Yeah,
but it almost seemed like a majority of it was practical effects. Mm-hmm. Like the bird beast when he gets tossed out the window. That was
I know. I wish I could remember the directors' names. But I can't for the life of me, or the cinematographer. But they are amazing. I hope they return for the sequels. Yeah. Because they are the reason those movies looked and felt so good. The cinematography.
Yeah, there was only one time, like just nitpick all the way. There's only one time where I was like, that was kind of jarring. So when you see like a scene in a movie and it's it's facing somebody or something, and then it goes to the next scene and it's like the same kind of angle and it just kind of shifts and it's just
it makes you feel off.
There was one scene like that.
And what was that? Because I'm interested.
It's so small that I shouldn't even bring it up, but it was like that's how good this movie was. That like for me to say anything, this small scene where it was like it showed like the castle or something in like a green field, something that was like a bright image, and then it goes to the snow part immediately, and it was kind of weird because just the angle that it was on, and then when it cut to the snow part, and the timing was perfect on the cut. It was just the actual imagery of it, like there's a person to the right, and it just felt weird to me. That's how good the movie is.
Yeah,
like,
it stuck out like a sore thumb.
Yeah, when you notice something so small.
Yeah, and that's how I felt about it too. Because to compare it to something like Justice League, which came out 7 or 8 years ago, there are so many scenes where you're just like, like it just makes you feel weird. It was a bad angle, terrible directing, rotten cinematography. Not to harp on another movie, but this was the opposite of that. Everything was, because I look for that in a movie just because I'm feeling it. I'm with the movie, and to see cameras go from a different angle to the wrong angle, or from one area to another, set piece, and it just doesn't feel like they're going there.
It's too similar to the cut before. It's like it messes with you.
Yeah, in this movie, it felt like they were going to where they were going.
Yeah.
Wherever you were in the movie, you felt like they got there, and you felt like it was the right next. It just felt perfect. I can't think of any other way to describe it, but like that one scene when they went into the cave and it had that green lighting on them. The lighting itself did not seem like those kind of dim LED lighting, right?
You know what I mean? Like where it just has this weird, like, I don't know, just something about LED lighting is just soulless. It almost seemed like neon light or something.
Yeah,
and I'm sure they did use LED with coated kind of filament lighting, but it was, I don't know, it was just like, man, it had a feel to it, that kind of spooky green, like Halloween, like even the swords that the undead dudes, like when they were fighting in the dungeon, like the green flames, like that's like one of my favorite things in movies is like green flames or it just gives me that cool. Like that cauldron, that those vibes. But
this movie was so good that I don't even want to watch the making of, because I don't want it to spoil any of how I feel about the movie. I don't want to be like, that's how that looks, or usually if I love a movie, I will dig into the special features and get into
I've actually always kind of been against watching behind the scenes because
it kind of spoils the magic. And this movie,
you could remove some of your feelings about it. If you're susceptible to that. Like
I'll try to stay away from the behind the scenes. Is there anything else we want to add, like other than what we've talked about? Is there any other scenes that really stuck out that were just incredible? Of course, Hugh Grant was really funny. We haven't mentioned him.
Totally forgot. Now he might be my favorite in the movie.
Yeah. And what's weird is because I know him really well, and I was just kind of looking past him in the trailers and stuff. Like he just seemed like, he's gonna be the king guy or whatever he plays. And now he was really funny.
Even when he kind of betrays him in the movie and he kind of turns evil, I still loved him. Loved it. And that's the thing about him is he can be this charming, wizard dude who can be, a monster, but it's just lovable still, which is a weird thing. Like this dude's like a demon. Yeah. And he's like, you still just love seeing his face and his accent.
You don't want him to
magical.
die.
You don't want him to die. Yeah. No, that's.
I don't think he did.
No, he was in one of those the balloons.
Oh no, that's right. Okay, the ending. He tried to escape, and he traded the place with Chris Pine, and he was trying to get the pardon. This is a huge spoiler.
Oh yeah,
but I really, we could put it on the.
Definitely put in the title.
Yeah, I don't think there's anything else I want to add other than it was really good. The only movie that I can think of that really stuck with me, and it's a completely different movie, was Tropic Thunder. Like that.
Yeah, it did have the same vibes of this big epic, like, just super
and you love
vivid,
the characters.
Love the characters. It doesn't overstimulate you and kind of, off-put anything. It was just like perfect.
Yeah, it really was. Yeah, I absolutely loved Dungeons and Dragons. I thought it was like I said, I went into it with crazy expectations because, you know, I've just been waiting for a castle movie, if you can call it that. You know, just a medieval...
Just something with a dragon in it.
Yeah, something with a dragon in it. But this one delivers on so much more. And I don't even know how they did it. Like, and I don't know if I want to know how they did it. That's how good it was.
And I'll be honest, like, I don't even think I watched the full trailer. I think I saw the dancing part with Chris Pine in there. Mm-hmm. And I was like, oh man, this just looks just loony as hell.
Yeah.
I was like, no, I can't do this. But
yeah, and that's another thing. We went in with a group of people. We are all very cynical when it comes to film and very nitpicky on what we watch. Two of the people we went with do not like new movies at all. Like,
our
really,
brothers.
Yeah,
Two
but
brothers.
they absolutely... I was shocked when they were like, oh no, it was good. It was good. And I want to see the sequel with you guys when it comes out.
Yeah, and at the beginning, and they were kind of just, you know, whispering to each other for the first like 20 minutes. And I was, I was like, they think it's like horrible or something. But then they went silent. And that's like a good sign for them because they're usually always talking through movies. And it's, you know,
and they were zoned in. And with my daughter, we brought my daughter, and she actually wouldn't even take a bathroom break because she didn't want to miss the movie. That's literally, and that has never happened. And that's how good that movie was. I noticed.
Usually she's on her phone with a little dim
yeah, no,
phone
she was
not. I seen her like pull out her phone at the beginning, and that was it. And then
when we got done, she's like, I didn't want to go to the bathroom because I didn't want to miss any of the movie. And I'm like, well, you probably should have because the movie's more enjoyable when you're not holding it. But this movie was that freaking good, and
it was great.
Glad we went and saw it. Glad we're sitting down and doing a review on it.
Yeah, we haven't talked to each other about how we made sure it was a thing where we don't mention anything.
Yeah, you slipped up a little bit.
Oh, I did.
Yeah, because we were talking. Don't. I was trying to be just soulless when we left. Like I didn't want to say I liked it, I hated it.
You were Stonewall. For sure.
And then I heard you go. I liked it. It was good, and I was like, clearly it was good. Like, what are we even doing?
Yeah, obviously we could hear each other laughing in the theater. Yeah. Obviously it's gonna be good, but I definitely. It was hard, It was hard to not say anything.
Yeah, because it was just you want to talk about it when you leave a movie. You want to talk about it.
Yeah, but since we're doing the review, we wanted to make it like know.
Yeah,
if we had any
off the cuff.
Yeah, and if one of us disagreed, it would be more natural, kind of seeing it on camera.
Yeah, well, when we first talked about doing this review, I was kind of hoping one of us wouldn't like it, so we would kind of be.
I was too.
But by the end of the movie, I was like, I really hope everybody loved it as much as I do.
Yeah, I thought I was gonna be the one that was like, hating it because movies have been just so soulless lately.
Yeah, so if you're watching this review and you haven't seen it, sorry for all the spoilers, but even still, I mean, I'm sure it's just a hoot, knowing some of the things.
What would you rate it?
Oh, I would rate it.
How many Stathams?
2 Stathams way up, like definitely. Yeah,
I'm the same.
Yeah,
two Stathams.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I think that's it. That's our first review. We are the Crispy Critics. We might try to do some more movies soon, hopefully.
Yeah, we'll do.
We'll do as many as we can. Hopefully you guys liked it. Please subscribe and like the video. And we'll see you guys next time.
Fantastic. Where's the shovel?